This is Ham Nation, episode number 316 for September 6th, 2017. The American Legion and Dr. T live.
Good evening, everybody. You have the dial turned to Ham Nation. It's a show about ham radio, having fun and helping people and all the wonderful things that ham radio does. And this show is going to really bring you some exciting things and some very meaningful things because Gordo is going to be joined by Marty from K9TAL. And K9TAL is the station of the American Legion. And we're going to come back to him. He has some really great news for us.
Well, let's take a look at all that's been happening with the hurricane down south. And I bring with us Marty Justis, W9WMJ. Marty's been with the American Legion as their chief man for, 34 years? Is that right, Marty?
Yes, sir. But actually, I'm retired after 34 years, and it feels good, Gordo.
Well, that's great. And he now heads up the American Legion Amateur Radio Club. Now, how's that club doing?
Doing great. You know, we were on this show about 2 years ago, and at that time we were boasting 2,000 members. And today our membership base sits at 3,200 members. And we're tickled about that. But even more important for us is that about 25 or 30 of our American Legion posts have formed Legion radio clubs in their local post. And a good number of those have established stations on site within the walls of the American Legion post. And that's the kind of the vision that we had for the club to begin with, that it would be a place for the amateur radio to serve the community.
Wow. Well, you've done a lot down there in the Houston area. Now, why is the Legion part of the Gulf Coast effort? You've got Red Cross and Salvation Army and a host of others. What is the Legion's mission?
Well, I'll tell you, Gordo, for a long time, the American Legion has been a strong advocate for disaster preparedness and follow-up relief services. Back in 1969, during Hurricane Camille, which hit the Gulf Coast at that time, the American Legion established what we call the National Emergency Fund. And that's a fund that has developed today to provide money to those members of the American Legion and members of the Sons of the American Legion who have been affected by natural disasters, declared natural disasters. And if you happen to be an American Legion member or an SAL member who's affected by the storm, you can get a grant up to $3,000, and posts can get money to help them get back and continue to serve the community as well. And the grants for the posts of the American Legion are up to $10,000.
Wow. Well, that is just terrific, Marty. Now, Marty, what can ham radio operators do? What assistance can we provide for the Legion, and what assistance is the Legion right now providing for Houston?
Well, I tell you, the best thing they can do is pass, and we've asked this of our own members, is to pass along information to those in the devastated areas, whether they're the people who actually have been affected by the storm or those who are overseeing communications there, and let them know that the American Legion has two programs that can help veterans and help members of the American Legion and active duty people. And one is the National Emergency Fund, and the other is temporary financial assistance. And that second one is for active duty personnel and veterans who may not be members of the Legion, but have minor children in the home under age 17.
Wow. Well, isn't that something? You know, high frequency is still an important part of this hurricane watch that Irma is now coming up along the outer islands. 7065 kilohertz for Cuba and 7110 and 7120 for Cuba calls. FEMA is going to be taking over the 60-meter band. And as you know, we share that with NTIA. So if you should hear call signs that are KF2, EMA, they all end with EMA with an F in there, that's FEMA, and give them primary access to our 60-meter 5 channels. Very, very important. And once that hurricane approaches Florida, 7188 is going to be a net for a lot of local traffic, Caribbean on 3815, and of course the Maritime Mobile Net on 14300, and the Hurricane Watch Net with WX4NHC at 14325. So what's the plan for Irma coming up the coast for your Legion personnel?
Very definitely we'll be there, Gordo. You can count on it. You know, at National Headquarters, I mentioned the two programs that are most important from our point of view to provide financial assistance in those areas. But the real work of the American Legion, where the rubber meets the road and where the boots hit the ground, is in the community where the local post is. The pictures that you saw up there, you saw people who were bringing others from the community affected by the storm, putting food on their table or in their bellies and clothes on their back and water and providing the needs and health ways for their children. That's where the best work of the American Legion is done, in the communities. And we're so proud of those Blue Cap Legionnaires. And about the need in Texas and Louisiana, there are about 135,000 active duty people in Texas and Louisiana. Another 32,000 Guard and Reserve members who've been energized or brought forward to work in these places. We have 88,000 American Legion members in Texas and Louisiana. We have about 600 posts of the American Legion in that area. 25 or so are right in the Houston area, hit hardest by this storm. So the potential for our ability to help is great there.
Wow. Well, Marty, we congratulate you and all of your Legionnaire members for a great job that they're doing and the big job ahead when Irma finally makes shore. So, Marty, any last words before we go and check with Don to see what his weather's like, which way that next hurricane is coming? Marty?
Sure, Gordo. What I'd like to do is leave you with two pieces of information about contacting the Legion. Is one, through the website legion.org/NEF, November Echo Foxtrot, for information and applications for the NEF program, and a toll-free number, 800-504-4098, to contact the American Legion, any veteran, to see if they're eligible and how much assistance they might be able to get from us here at National Headquarters in Indianapolis.
Well, thank you, Marty, and just stay safe and all of your personnel with Irma now lurking. Thanks so much, Marty.